Como é que você acha que seria a luta dele com o Jon Jones? Que é uma coisa que está sendo conversada agora, essa possibilidade aí.
Cara, é meio complicado de falar porque o Jon Jones é um cara que eu admiro pra caramba. Quando eu lutei pela primeira vez, o Jon Jones estava lá. Quando eu entrei como revelação, o Jon Jones estava lá. Fiquei segundo, ele primeiro. Então, tipo, é um cara que eu admiro muito. É um cara que, quando eu lutei agora pela segunda vez, né, contra o Michael Chandler, ele estava lá. Então, é um cara que eu admiro muito. Vai ser uma luta que eu vou sentar, né? Com certeza vou torcer pelo nosso Brasil, pelo Poatan, mas vou assistir apreensivo porque é um cara gigantesco. Mas eu acho que qualquer cara que ficar na frente do Poatan, independente se é um cara que só bota para baixo ou não, se ele conectar a mão, vai ser nocauteado.
Charles Oliveira sends a strong warning to Jon Jones. Alex Pereira can knock you out cold. And Alex Pereira wants White House heavyweight super fight against Jon Jones following UFC 320 title win. We'll cover Jon Jones's response to Pereira's tribute, the opening betting odds that have fans shocked, and what the experts are saying about this dream matchup.
There were many names during this conversation about your next opponent. In the end, were you maybe a little bit disappointed that this Mateusz Gamrot?
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed or anything like that. I mean, it's just the fact that what happened in the process, you get these guys, coming out of fights or something happened, they go online, they go into social media and say, hey, I'm ready. I can be the next guy. I can be up there to face him, fight him. But then when the time comes, they never showed up. They don't take the fight. So I'm not disappointed. I'm just surprised by the people who do that. Somebody like the Jon Jones fight, say, hey, I'm here or something. Then the guy doesn't show up or something. So I'm disappointed. I wanted to fight as quickly as possible. And, that was the name that showed up, and that could be anyone. But, I just wanted to be a fighter in Brazil, but not disappointed, just surprised by the attitude of some people. I'm not like that. I never do stuff like that.
Charles Oliveira is known for being respectful and measured in his words. But this time, he's sending a crystal clear message to Jon Jones. Speaking at the UFC Rio Media Day ahead of his fight against Mateusz Gamrot, Du Bronx didn't hold back when asked about a potential clash between his fellow Brazilian Alex Pereira and the legendary Jon Jones. Now, Oliveira started by showing nothing but respect for Jones. He said, and I quote, "Talking about Jon Jones is a bit complicated because I admire him a lot. When I fought the first time, Jon Jones was there. When I was the breakthrough fighter, Jon Jones was there. I was number 2, he was number 1.
Cara, é meio complicado de falar porque o Jon Jones é um cara que eu admiro pra caramba. Quando eu lutei pela primeira vez, o Jon Jones estava lá. Quando eu entrei como revelação, o Jon Jones estava lá. Fiquei segundo, ele primeiro.
But here's where things get interesting. Despite all that respect, Oliveira made it very clear where his loyalty lies. He said, "It's definitely going to be a fight that I will sit down and cheer for Brazil, for Poatan. But I'll be apprehensive watching it, because Jones is great."
Vai ser uma luta que eu vou sentar, né? Com certeza vou torcer pelo nosso Brasil, pelo Poatan, mas vou assistir apreensivo porque...
And then came the warning that's echoing throughout the MMA community. Oliveira said, "I think that whoever stands in front of Poatan, regardless of being someone who only takes people down, if Pereira lands a hand, he's getting knocked out."
Como é que você acha que seria a luta dele com o Jon Jones? Que é uma coisa que está sendo conversada agora, essa possibilidade aí.
Cara, é meio complicado de falar porque o Jon Jones é um cara que eu admiro pra caramba. Quando eu lutei pela primeira vez, o Jon Jones estava lá. Quando eu entrei como revelação, o Jon Jones estava lá. Fiquei segundo, ele primeiro. Então, tipo, é um cara que eu admiro muito. É um cara que, quando eu lutei agora pela segunda vez, né, contra o Michael Chandler, ele estava lá. Então, é um cara que eu admiro muito. Vai ser uma luta que eu vou sentar, né? Com certeza vou torcer pelo nosso Brasil, pelo Poatan, mas vou assistir apreensivo porque é um cara gigantesco. Mas eu acho que qualquer cara que...
To let that sink in. Charles Oliveira is saying that even someone with Jon Jones' legendary wrestling and fight IQ can get put to sleep if Pereira connects with one of his legendary left hands. And considering Pereira has now knocked out every single opponent he's faced in the UFC, going 10-2 with devastating finishes over fighters like Magomed Ankalaev, Israel Adesanya, and Jiri Prochazka, this warning carries serious weight. So let's talk about how we got here. At UFC 320, Alex Pereira absolutely demolished Magomed Ankalaev in just 80 seconds to reclaim the light heavyweight championship. It was a statement victory, and Pereira wasted no time looking toward his next challenge.
And then after about a minute, massive right hand, catches Magomed, he stumbles, he shoots for the legs because he's dazed and he's hurt. Pereira stuffs it, he goes down and just a series of nasty 12-6 elbows, one after the other. Referee steps in, 1 minute 20, Magomed Ankalaev is on the floor still looking dazed and confused. Pereira gives him multiple jammers, right, or whatever the hell he calls them, and that's it. That was done. And the man was locked in right from the...
But here's where the story takes a respectful turn. Pereira had originally planned to call out Jon Jones for a super fight at the upcoming UFC White House card scheduled for June 14, 2026. However, out of respect for Jones and his family following the tragic passing of Jon's older brother, former NFL player Arthur Jones, Pereira held back. Instead, Pereira said, "I had a whole speech prepared tonight. I talked to my team over it, but we got some news recently. Something's happened. So I want to give my respect to Jon Jones and his whole family. And I want to ask everyone here and everyone at home to take a moment of silence for his brother."
Em respeito a ele, em respeito à família.
I had a whole speech prepared tonight. I talked to my team over it, but we got some news recently. Some things happened, so I want to give my respect to Jon Jones and his whole family, and I want to ask everyone here and everyone at home to take a moment of silence for his brother.
This moment of class and respect from Pereira didn't go unnoticed. Jon Jones himself responded on social media with just 2 words, "Wow, Alex." But make no mistake, Pereira still made his intentions clear. He wants Jon Jones at heavyweight on the White House card. He said, "All I want is a super fight. I want to fight at heavyweight. It would be at the White House against Jon Jones. That's a super fight."
Essa é a melhor aposta?
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh, super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow.
name
Derek
that would,
Lewis?
It's Aspinall, man. Bom, não sei se pô, Casa Branca, Jon Jones.
Jon
seria uma
Jones.
super luta.
Oh,
At the White House.
Jon Jones. That's
okay.
a super.
But here's the thing. While Pereira has devastating knockout power, Jon Jones is widely considered the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. His only loss came via disqualification against Matt Hamill, and he's dominated 2 divisions for over a decade. The size advantage at heavyweight, combined with Jones's elite wrestling and fight IQ, makes this a fascinating stylistic matchup. Daniel Cormier, who fought Jones twice, even said that Jones is actually a harder fight for Pereira than Tom Aspinall would be. Cormier stated, "The Jon Jones fight for Pereira, of all the other options, is the most difficult fight for Pereira." Alex called out the hardest fight possible.
The Jon Jones fight for Pereira, of all of the other 4, is the most difficult fight for Pereira. So it speaks to the type of man that Alex is. Alex called out the hardest fight possible.
So the big question everyone's asking is, can Alex Pereira really knock out Jon Jones at heavyweight? UFC legend Matt Brown calls Jones a nightmare matchup for Pereira. He explained that Jones is as big, if not bigger than Pereira at heavyweight, and his wrestling is on a completely different level. Brown said, "There's no way in hell that Alex has wrestling at Jon Jones's level at this point."
The matchup is literally the nightmare matchup for Alex Pereira. Like Jon is as big, probably bigger. I think probably a little bit bigger than Alex Pereira. At heavyweight, certainly bigger. A million times better wrestler. Like there's no possible way in hell that Alex, his wrestling is to Jon Jones's level at this point.
Brown also pointed out that while anything can happen in a fight, especially with Pereira's power, the odds are heavily in Jones's favor. He even compared it to Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather, a super fight that generates massive interest, but where one fighter is clearly the favorite. However, the counter-argument is simple. Pereira's left hand is an equalizer. We've seen him knock out champion after champion, and he's proven that he can adjust to any opponent. His coach has been working with him on wrestling defense, and at 38 years old, Pereira is still in his absolute prime as a striker. Charles Oliveira summed it up perfectly when talking about Pereira's legacy among Brazilian fighters. He said, "Poatan is at the top today, a gigantic man, and can definitely win the 3rd belt at heavyweight. The UFC CEO is not exactly thrilled about this potential move. When asked about Pereira wanting to go to heavyweight, White revealed, "I went over to the Performance Institute and he was there. I'm like, you're the last guy I expected to see here today. What are you doing here? They're telling me we want to fight at heavyweight." I said, "How about we win tonight and focus on tonight and then we can talk about heavyweight." White continued, "There's still fights here in this division. I don't know. I like the guy so much, we'll see. I just don't see why he moves up in weight unless he wants to retire. Why throw him at heavyweight? It doesn't make any sense other than he just wants to do it so badly. I'll just say yes."
And I am McGregor. I can do as I please. So let's see how the future shapes out. Obviously, I've got my UFC contract. I've got the fight in the White House coming up in 8 months' time. Then I've got one more fight in the contract. The UFC have to come to me with business, you know. They may try and secure me for longer. I don't know what they're going to do. They have a decision on their hands to make. Do they secure me or do they let me go? You know, I am unsure, but all that matters for me is my preparation. And then what lays ahead after that? I'm ready.
Conor McGregor just sent a massive bombshell message to Dana White and the entire UFC. The notorious one is playing hardball, and the stakes have never been higher. If the UFC isn't willing to pay him $100 million, McGregor made it crystal clear. He's got plenty of other options to make his money. This could change the entire landscape of combat sports, so because what you're about to hear might just shock you. Let's get into it.
I will clear the 100 million mark.
Easy.
100%.
Is it possible too?
No. If it clears Pacquiao numbers, which it will, which in my mind it already has, it will be 100 million. Factor the gate, factor the merchandise sales, factor all the pies that I have my hand in. I will clear the 100 million mark.
All right, let's cut straight to the chase. Conor McGregor has just dropped the most expensive demand in UFC history, and Dana White is probably feeling that sticker shock right about now. Here's what the Irish superstar is asking for: a whopping $100 million purse to headline the historic UFC White House card in June 2026. But wait, it gets even better. On top of that $100 million, McGregor wants 100 US Golden Visa cards for himself, his family, and his friends. For those who don't know, each Golden Visa costs about $1 million and fast-tracks the immigration process to get US residency.
10 seconds.
Do the math with me real quick. That's $100 million in cash plus another $100 million in visa perks. We're talking about a $200 million package to get Conor McGregor in the octagon for one night at the White House. Now, to put this in perspective, McGregor made around $30 million for his mega fight against Floyd Mayweather back in 2017. This new demand is more than 6 times that amount. It's absolutely unprecedented in UFC history, and it's putting Dana White in one hell of a position.
Boys, 2001. Emotional shawty's in this bitch. Machiavelli.
Bitches come and go, but you know I stay.
But here's where things get really interesting. This isn't just about the money. This is about leverage, power, and McGregor reminding everyone exactly who he is in this sport. In a recent interview with Bro Bible, Conor dropped this quote that sent shockwaves through the MMA world. He said, and I quote, "The UFC have to come to me with business. They have a decision on their hands to make. Do they secure me or do they let me go? I am unsure."
The UFC have to come to me with business, you know. They may try and secure me for longer. I don't know what they're going to do. They have a decision on their hands to make. Do they secure me or do they let me go? You know, I am unsure, but...
Let that sink in. McGregor is essentially telling the biggest MMA promotion in the world that they need to come to him. He's not begging for a fight. He's not desperate to return. He's sitting back, getting ready, and waiting for the UFC to make their move. And here's the kicker. McGregor only has 2 fights left on his current UFC contract. One of those is supposedly the White House event in June 2026. After that, he's a free agent. And with his part ownership stake in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, BKFC, McGregor has made it abundantly clear he's got options.
UFC's coming to the White House. Are you excited about this? I mean, have you thought about? I mean, it's a pretty cool.
I'm ecstatic that Mac is back, and what better event than to grace the White House lawn for a straightener? What I do best. I'm very, very excited, very eager, very motivated. Bring it on, baby.
Do you think that's when you maybe come back? I mean, what about come back for you as far as fighting?
I'm very happy that it's June. It was on in July.
Now it's a month earlier, even better. Bring it to April, why not? Let's celebrate the birthday early. I celebrate my birthday months in advance.
So
I'm
we
happy.
could potentially see, maybe, possibly White House Conor McGregor.
That's a definitely. That's a definitely.
That's awesome.
For sure, that's my event.
That is
That's
your
my
event. That
event,
is
for sure.
This isn't just negotiation tactics, folks. This is McGregor playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He knows his worth, he knows his brand, and he's not afraid to walk away if the UFC doesn't meet his price. Now let's talk about this historic White House event, because this isn't just any fight card. President Donald Trump announced plans for a massive UFC supercard to be held at the White House as part of America's 250th birthday celebration in June 2026. This is unprecedented. This is history in the making. Dana White immediately started talking about Conor McGregor being the main event.
We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little, we're not, Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. Going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events. But the UFC fight's going to be a big deal too.
McGregor recently confirmed the deal, saying, "It's a done deal, signed, delivered." He told Sean Hannity that he and Dana are in constant communication and that he's ready to deliver what he's calling the greatest comeback in combat sports history.
It can ignite a support for the people of Ireland. Is this a done deal? Because we need. Are you definitely? Is this a done deal? You're in. You made a deal. Signed, delivered. It ain't a negotiation. Wow. It's a done deal, signed, delivered. McGregor will compete in the White House for UFC's 200 for the America's 250th birthday.
Did you talk to Dana about it? Dana's got to sign off, I would imagine. No.
Me and Dana are in constant communications. We've done incredible business together. I'm the highest generating fighter of all time in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. They've just signed a breathtaking deal with Paramount, where we go to cable TV. $7.7 billion that deal was accrued for, and ready to rock, baby. Bring in the big dog, the Mac G.
But here's what makes this comeback so crucial. McGregor hasn't stepped foot in the octagon since July 2021. That's when he broke his leg, a gruesome tibia fracture, in his loss to Dustin Poirier at UFC 264. It's been over 4 years since we've seen the Notorious compete.
Oh! McGregor covers up towards the end of the round. 1 second to go in the round. Wow! Whoa! Oh, it's like,
He was supposed to return at UFC 303 last year against Michael Chandler during International Fight Week, but a broken pinky toe derailed those plans. Since then, McGregor has rejoined the UFC's drug testing pool and has been vocal about his preparation. On one hand, Conor McGregor is the highest-grossing fighter in UFC history. He's the biggest pay-per-view draw the sport has ever seen. His fights generate massive revenue, and having him on the White House card would be the ultimate promotional coup. Dana White has built an empire by maintaining control and not letting fighters dictate terms. But McGregor isn't just any fighter. He transcends the sport in ways that no one else can. And let's not forget, if the UFC doesn't pay him, McGregor has explicitly said he's ready to walk. He's got his BKFC ownership and involvement. He could headline bare-knuckle events and still make massive money. He could pursue boxing matches. He could do celebrity exhibitions.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
McGregor doesn't need the UFC anymore. But the question is, does the UFC need McGregor? Let's quickly touch on who McGregor might actually fight when he returns. Michael Chandler has been the name attached to this comeback for years. They filmed a season of The Ultimate Fighter together back in 2023, and there's legitimate, unfinished business there. Chandler has been incredibly patient, turning down other fights and waiting for his shot at McGregor.
I'll face off, man. Yep, we got to come in, face off. Yep. Let's go. Go, Tom. Yeah. Yeah. That was perfect. All right.
Great.
I look forward to the fight.
I wish it was right now.
But McGregor doesn't seem to care about Chandler's recent losses. He still considers him the right opponent for his return, likely because of the coaching rivalry and the storyline they've already built. And remember, McGregor has only 2 fights left on his contract. If the White House fight is number 1, that means he's got just 1 more bout after that before he's potentially done with the UFC forever, unless Dana White and the UFC brass can convince him to sign a new deal.
McGregor will compete in the White House for UFC's 200 for the America's 250th
Did you talk
birthday.
to Dana about it? Dana's got to sign off, I would imagine, no?
Me and Dana are in constant communications. We've done incredible business together. I'm the highest generating fighter of all time in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. They've just signed a breathtaking deal with Paramount where we go to cable TV. $7.7 billion that deal was approved for. And ready to rock, baby. Bring in the big dog, the Mac G.
Conor McGregor just dropped an absolute bombshell that has UFC and MMA fans in total shock. First, he claimed he wasn't negotiating with Dana White or the UFC, but instead directly with U.S. President Donald Trump. Then, he demanded $100 million and even a platinum card. Now, he's suddenly saying his deal with the UFC is signed and done.
We've got our King of Violence world title on the line by the current champion, Michael Perry, the King of Violence, making his return. A man that, you know, paved the way in the sport and rose up and done incredible things. Then he made an error and made it, you know, went a different way. A big mistake in my opinion, but now he's back. People are underwriting him. He's got a big point to prove. And you know what's at stake, Michael? If you don't perform, you're gone.
But wait, that's not all. McGregor also teased a potential fight in BKFC against none other than Mike Perry, or even both at the same time. Could he really be serious about fighting inside the White House? Or is this just another mind game to keep fans guessing?
Question for Conor. Obviously, Conor, you become such a huge part of BKFC. I know there's all the talk about you eventually fighting for BKFC. Can I ask you, because we know you're going to fight Michael Chandler as the plan in the White House card, could you give me your 3-fight perfect plan to fight 2 more times in the UFC and then make that BKFC debut? Do you have a plan in mind?
You know, I have 8 months and change out to the White House event. It's a 6-month operation. You know, I consider it a 6-month operation to get ready for this bout. And that's my focus right now. I'm just eager to, you know, climb the steps into being ready for my return. There's a lot at stake, and I'm very excited at the opportunity. I was right there with my last one. I was in incredible condition, incredibly well prepared, and just a slight lapse in concentration led to an injury. I wish to correct that and show what I'm about. And that's it. I'm eager to get back, and we'll see what the future holds after that.
You've become such a big part of BKFC. As you're getting back into fight mode, do you have to take a step back from the other businesses like BKFC, like Forged, just to get ready for a fight, or are you going to be able to kind of balance everything?
No, there will be a period of isolation for sure, where the phone will not be answered. And, you know, all my people involved with me understand that it is coming. And as I said, it's a 6-month operation. I'm under no illusion of what lies ahead of me in my preparation efforts. So the phone will be switched off and the work will be executed.
And to make things even crazier, fresh rumors are swirling that Conor might be heading to WWE next. So what exactly is McGregor's endgame? Is he playing the UFC, chasing BKFC glory, or making a surprise move to pro wrestling?
Signed, delivered. It ain't a negotiation. Wow. It's a done deal, signed, delivered. McGregor will compete in the White House for UFC's 200 for the America's 250th birthday.
That's right. McGregor isn't just talking about returning to the UFC. He's claiming the contract is signed for the most historic UFC event ever, a fight at the White House lawn on July 4th, 2026, celebrating America's 250th anniversary. But here's where it gets interesting. McGregor revealed he's been in constant communication with Dana White. And get this, he claims he's not just negotiating with the UFC. He says he's negotiating with the United States government on behalf of Ireland.
Doing pretty well.
Things are going great. The White House, Dana White said you and Jon Jones, that's a real deal.
I'm going home. I'm going to get the head down. I'm going to rest. They're testing me. I'm in the pool. He always say, man, I thought that's what the pools are for, jumping in and out. But I'm back in the pool. So get ready and stay ready because damage will be done. Oval Office, White House guy.
McGregor emphasized his value to the UFC, calling himself the highest generating fighter of all time. And he's not wrong. 8 of the top 10 most watched UFC pay-per-views feature the notorious one, including all of the top 7. His fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov pulled in 2.4 million pay-per-view buys. Now, we've heard McGregor talk big before, but this time, he's laying out a detailed preparation strategy that actually sounds, dare I say it, realistic. At a BKFC 82 media roundtable, McGregor broke down his training timeline. I have 8 months to go to the White House event. It's a 6-month operation. I consider it a 6-month process to prepare for this bout. That's my focus right now.
You know, I have 8 months and change out to the White House event. It's a 6-month operation. You know, I consider it a 6-month operation to get ready for this bout. And that's my focus right now.
McGregor says he's planning a period of complete isolation. No phone calls, no distractions, just pure training. He told reporters, there will be a period of isolation for sure, where the phone will not be answered. All my people involved with me understand it is coming. The phone will be switched off and the work will be executed.
Where the phone will not be answered. And, you know, all my people involved with me understand that it is coming. And as I said, it's a 6-month operation. I'm under no illusion of what lies ahead of me in my preparation efforts. So the phone will be switched off and the work will be executed.
This is significant because McGregor is addressing the elephant in the room, his lifestyle over the past few years, the parties, the controversies, the business ventures. He's acknowledging that this time, it needs to be different. McGregor also reflected on his last fight, that devastating leg break against Dustin Poirier in July 2021. He said, I was in incredible condition, incredibly well prepared, and just a slight lapse in concentration led to an injury. I wish to correct that and show what I'm about.
I was right there with my last one. I was in incredible condition, incredibly well prepared, and just a slight lapse in concentration led to an injury. I wish to correct that and show what I'm about.
4 years of waiting, 4 years of doubts. But now, McGregor sounds focused. The question is, will it actually happen this time? Here's the reality check, folks. Conor McGregor has a track record of pulling out, and the UFC knows it. Some reports suggest McGregor is demanding $100 million and 100 US golden visas to take this fight. Those are massive asks that haven't been publicly addressed by anyone but Conor himself.
I will clear the 100 million mark.
Easy.
100%.
Is it possible too?
No. If it clears Pacquiao numbers, which it will, which in my mind it already has, it will be 100 million. Factor the gate, factor the merchandise sales, factor all the pies that I have my hand in. I will clear the 100 million mark.
To Alex Pereira has become the UFC's ultimate insurance policy. Remember UFC 303? When McGregor pulled out with that broken toe? Who saved the event? Alex Pereira. He stepped in with just 15 days' notice to fight Jiri Prochazka and spectacularly defended his light heavyweight title. President Donald Trump, a longtime friend of Dana White, announced plans to host a UFC event at the White House to celebrate America's 250th birthday. This would be the first professional sporting event ever held at the White House.
So every one of our national park, battlefields, and historic sites are going to have special events in honor of America 250. And I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. Does anybody watch UFC, the great Dana White? We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little, we're not, Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. Going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events, but the UFC fight's going to be a big deal too.
Dana White revealed that his team has already had meetings at the White House, looking at renderings and getting presidential approval. The plan includes an octagon on the South Lawn, under 5,000 people in attendance at the White House itself, a connected area that could hold 85,000 people with massive screens, a full stage with concerts. Taking over Washington, D.C. for an entire week, White said, "We're going to take over Washington, D.C. that whole week. This isn't just a fight, it's a festival."
So we went to the White House last week, me and my team, and we had the first meeting with him. We laid out all the renderings, and we started to get him to sign off on what he likes and doesn't like, and he loved it. So, yeah, now we're diving in head first. Now all the work starts. This last time I was at the White House, I went up on the roof, and they got snipers with 50 cals all over the roof of the White House, and it's pretty crazy. But yes, I mean, the security is going to be a massive issue because at the end of the day, Secret Service's job is to protect the president. We're going to take over Washington, D.C. that whole week.
This is huge for McGregor. He's the biggest pay-per-view star in UFC history. His fights have generated 12.7 million PPV buys total, but now that model is gone. McGregor acknowledged this, saying, "The entire landscape of the UFC model, the pay-per-view model, is now complete, so I must enter into something new."
The entire landscape of the UFC model, the pay-per-view model is now complete. So I must enter into something new. And
for Chandler, this is the biggest payday of his career and a chance to become a megastar by beating McGregor in what could be the most watched UFC event of all time.
I look forward to the fight. I wish it was right now.
What do you think? Will Conor McGregor actually make it to the octagon at the White House? Or will Alex Pereira have to save the day again? Drop your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our coverage when this story develops.
You know, and see what done. Like, who you think you will win is the winner? Something that interests you.
Cara, ali it's a tough fight. You know, Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys. And I think Gon is a guy who's going to do a lot of movement. He's going to be a little more cautious and you know, just moving around a lot. It might frustrate Tom. You know, so first, second, third round, maybe Tom can't find Cyril Gon. So I think it's going to be a different fight. We'll see. Really don't know. We'll have to see. You know, obviously my body gets heavier. I don't know how long I can cut to 205. So we're just going to have to see and take it fight by fight.
Alex Poatan Pereira just dropped a massive bombshell that's sending shockwaves through the heavyweight division. The light heavyweight king has a stark warning for Tom Aspinall ahead of UFC 321. Alex Pereira's shocking prediction for the UFC 321 heavyweight title fight between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. Poatan didn't hold back, and what he said might just change how you see this matchup. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Alex Pereira, fresh off preparing for his own UFC 320 rematch with Magomed Ankalaev, took time during a media scrum to deliver a prediction that nobody saw coming. But Pereira, he sees something completely different. Through his translator, Poatan laid it out clearly. This is going to be a tough night for Tom Aspinall. Here's exactly what he said. It's a tough fight. Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gane is a guy who's going to do a lot of moving. He's going to be a little more cautious, and that moving around a lot might frustrate Tom.
It's a tough fight, you know. Tom is a complete fighter, but I do feel like he's fought a lot of aggressive guys, and I think Gon is a guy who's going to do a lot of movement. He's going to be a little more cautious and you know, just moving around a lot. It might frustrate Tom.
But wait, it gets even more interesting. Pereira continued. First, second, third round. Maybe Tom can't find Cyril Gane. I think it's going to be a different fight.
You know, so first, second, third round, maybe Tom can't find Cyril Gane, so I think it's going to be a different fight. We'll see.
One of the most devastating strikers in UFC history is telling us that Tom Aspinall might spend 3 rounds chasing Gane around the octagon without being able to land that signature knockout blow. That's a huge statement, and if that wasn't enough, Alex Pereira took to Twitter to double down on his prediction, sending a direct message to the MMA world. But here's where it gets really interesting. Tom Aspinall himself seems to agree that this won't be a typical fight.